Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Question. Would you die for me?
Yes.
That's too easy. Would you live for me?
Yes.
Welcome to your very first episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast for the year 2025. My name is John.
Hi, I'm Stew.
And I am a big fanboy named Mike. Thanks for having me on today, guys. Love the show.
Love you. Thank you for coming on. Well,
Fun factoid, like 38% of the people who guest star on The Pint are named Mike.
Yes, Mike Simonetta. We got Mike here. Mike Wallace, by the way. I love when you text me because I feel like Morley Safer is going to text me right after you. Or maybe like, hi, I'm Ed Bradley. I'm waiting for the whole crew of 60 Minutes to start texting me. I'm going to start showing friends of mine. I'm like, look who I know. And they're like, is Mike Wallace dead or is he alive?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's dead, but you can just act like I'm also the receiver that played for the Steelers.
I was going to say, that's what I think of Mike Wallace as the football player.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah, you're right.
He's also a NASCAR driver. He drove the spam car named Mike Wallace.
Oh, imagine the amount of like free spam that guy got. Like,
Mike Wallace, the reporter, died 12 years ago.
Did he really?
Yeah, 2012.
Shit. It's two things are crazy about that he died 12 years ago and that 2012 was 12 years ago. There's so much going on in that sentence. So yes, the Pint is heading into year 8. The Manster needed the week off, so we're starting the year off Mansterless. But if you listen to our Triple T episode we did over on the Patreon, that's easy to go to, patreon.com/thepint, where we talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about Nothing But Trouble. We discussed either on air or off air Suicide Squad, and then I said, well, let's do that episode with the same guys. And we said, yeah, and unlike 90% of the shit I say for the Pint, we're doing it like within a month and a half. That is, usually this shit takes 3 years. Like 3 years later, we're like, yeah, if you go back 3 years ago, we said we would do this, but we're doing it now. No, we're doing this. So this episode...
Somewhere on my wife's phone is still a saved list of her top 90s albums. So
we're doing it. We're doing it this. We're doing it this year. 2025, year 8.
2025
is the year of broken Pint promises. That's what we're doing. So let's get into it. Let's talk about 2016's Suicide Squad.
Hey! Fire it up! 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 Fire it up!
All right, Suicide Squad. And by the way, Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. Stu and I did that one a few years ago. I actually had to look it up to remember which one was which. I couldn't remember which one was the and which one was the non-the. Came out on August 5th of 2016. Real quick question. You guys, both comic fans, comic podcasters. Mike, did you see it in the theaters?
I did not. Actually, this is the first time I actually watched it proper all the way through. To be 100% honest with you, I've kind of picked it up here and there. So no, I did not see it in the theaters. Let's just be honest. I'm a Marvelsman anyway, and DC was their movies never did a lot for me. So I just kind of was like, yeah, you know what? I'll catch it when I catch it. And I just didn't catch it.
Okay.
Until
Stu,
fully properly.
I know you saw it, right?
Yeah, I definitely saw it in theaters, and it was pulled for the show at some point. I've definitely done Suicide Squad as an episode of the Stew World Order. I don't remember what episode number or anything, but we've done it.
Okay. All right. I saw it in the theaters as well. So written and directed by a gentleman named David Ayer, released the Ayer cut, as people will tell you, the what's his name? The Snyder fans, Snyderverse people. So here's some things he wrote, but did not direct. And I did not know that he wrote this first one. He co-wrote the original 2001, The Fast and the Furious. So he wrote that. He wrote the Matthew McConaughey World War II submarine film that I like a lot called U-571. And he wrote Training Day. He wrote Training Day, the Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke film that Denzel Washington won Best Actor for. Now, here are some films he wrote and directed. Fury, the Brad Pitt World War II tank movie. He wrote and directed a film called End of Watch that was actually quite good, I thought, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena as LA cops. And he wrote and directed a film called The Tax Collector with Shia LaBeouf as like a gang member. It was not good. I saw it a couple years ago on streaming or cable. I did not enjoy that one. So if you want to talk about the Suicide Squad proper, as Stu mentioned, we did an episode on the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn version. Years before that, on a comic-centric episode, we did one that covered the first 6 issues of the 80s run that John Ostrander wrote and created. Ostrander, that's a weird last name, right? It sounds like ostrich almost, do you think? Right?
It sounds like ostrich.
You think so?
What?
You want to say
I guess it's a more unusual name than Amenta.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that exists inside a piece of salami.
Yes. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. My last name does sound like an ingredient to like an Italian sandwich. It's pretty good. Can I get the Amenta on that? All right.
And then over here you've got Stewart and Wallace, so we got nothing. Our name is very plain, very boring.
You guys have pretty good, like very like British or English, UK sounding last names. I like it. So here's the Suicide Squad. All right. First version in the comics was in The Brave and the Bold, number 25 from 1959. It was like a World War II comic. And then in the 80s, John Ostrander created the version that we kind of know from some of the people trickle into this movie. Legends number 3 from 1987 was the first short story about that Suicide Squad. Then volume 1 had 68 issues. Volume 2, a few years later, had 12 issues. Volume 3 had 8 issues. Volume 4, which was the new 52 version of this team, which was the first version that included Harley Quinn. I think a lot of people think Harley Quinn's been in this thing forever. The Suicide Squad was a team before she was even a character. Went 32 issues. Then there was one with no volume, but it was called New Suicide Squad, 22 issues. Volume 5, which took place during DC's Rebirth, which was their next reboot, went 50 issues. Volume 6 went 11. Volume 7, which was part of DC's Infinite Frontier, which I don't even know what the fuck that is, went 15 issues. And if you go to a comic store right now and want to get a Suicide Squad book, there is not currently one on the stands, which I was surprised at because there seems to obviously have been one for quite a while now. That is your comic history for the Suicide Squad. Film-wise, this film was filmed between April and August of 2015 with reshoots between April and May of 2016. This movie has a lot of variable scenes and deleted scenes, and that's why they say release the Ayer cut. People are like, well, the one we saw isn't what he intended. He says the same thing. I actually watched and didn't realize it right away. The extended cut. Did either of you watch the extended cut?
I don't believe so, but I don't know offhand.
I definitely know I didn't because I looked at the time and it said under 2 hours. And then I looked back and there was like a 2 hour and 15 or 17 minute version. Yeah. So I got the Cliff Notes online and I will let you see them both give a better opinion. But everything I read, it sounded like, you didn't miss a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, I've seen obviously the regular and the extended. And except for maybe some things moving order and a little bit more Joker time, and not a lot, but a little bit more Joker time, there really isn't a whole lot there. So that is the filming, and it was filmed in Toronto mostly, but also Costa Rica when they go to the Enchantress's cave, and LA for studio work. So now that we know a little bit about the production of the film, I'm going to talk about the cast.
Assemble your crew.
All right, playing Floyd Lawton, a.k.a. Deadshot, is Will Smith. You know Will Smith from Men in Black, Ali, Hitch, being one of the biggest stars of all time. This was probably one of the first movies where, I don't know, do you guys feel like this was the point in his career where he couldn't do like the major lead stuff, so it almost felt like he was slumming it? Mike, do you feel that way? Like this is not lead man Will Smith anymore. This is Will Smith doing a job in a movie to me.
You know what? I think that this is Will Smith trying to catch the Robert Downey Jr. in a bottle here. And I do think that I think he thought it was lead main material or had the potential to be lead main material. And it just kind of, he did fine. Will Smith does fine and everything, but he felt very Will Smithy. And yeah, I just think that, he took it thinking it was going to be a bigger deal than it turned out to be. I'll put it that way.
Fair.
This feels like one of those movies where we should have found out after the fact that he turned down like John Wick to be in this or something.
Yes. Yeah. Which he did turn down The Matrix, and Keanu Reeves swooped in on that one.
To do Wild Wild West.
Yeah, we're going to be in a Wild Wild West.
I was going to say it's all worth it for the song.
It is with this
Although
song.
who knows what the song to The Matrix would have been. We have no idea. It could have been a great Will Smith Matrix song, but we never got it.
Call me Mr. Anderson. It would have been a good one. Okay, so Jared Leto, who is our good friend Laura, the redheaded stranger, she hates him. She has like a fucking, so I'm just saying this for her. Laura, this is for you. Laura hates Jared Leto. He plays the Joker. Now look, I'm going to say something that might be controversial here for a second. I got to give Jared Leto props because who in their right mind wanted to take on the role of the Joker after Heath Ledger? Stu, do you agree with that? Do you think that it was at the very least a brave choice? Because I didn't think we'd see him in live action again for 10, 15 years.
And we shouldn't have.
Well,
but,
no.
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it was brave. I'll give him credit for taking the role when probably so few people wanted to chase that role. But there's so much to say, and I'm sure we'll say it throughout the episode. So, and we will soon know him as Skeletor, which is fucking ridiculous.
Shitting me?
No, you didn't hear this? He just got cast as Skeletor.
You know what? I'm always excited for anything Masters of the Universe adjacent, but now you're like shitting in my Cheerios, Stu. I don't like that.
That was announced this week. He got cast as Skeletor in the upcoming live-action Masters of the Universe movie.
We'll throw that in his future cast notes. You also know him from Blade Runner 2049 and Panic Room. This is a star-making film for one Ms. Margot Robbie, who plays Dr. Harleen Quinzel, a.k.a. Harley Quinn. You know her probably best from last year or 2 years ago's Giant Barbie, The Wolf of Wall Street, and I, Tonya. She launched a generation of cosplayers with this movie, right? I mean,
yeah,
and a generation of teenagers. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah. Gave Hot Topic something to sell for a couple years. I don't know about you guys, but the Hot Topic in my local mall, much like all the stores in my local mall, which I went to yesterday, which was fucking insane, are gone. But Hot Topic was living on the Harley Quinn bent for a little while there for sure. Let's see. Joel Kinnaman plays Rick Flag. Tom Hardy was originally signed for this role, and then when there was some issues going back and forth, he left it. So Joel Kinnaman, whose last name rhymes with cinnamon, took over. You might know him from the terrible 2014 remake of RoboCop. He was also in the John Woo film last year, Silent Night. And he was on a TV show that was pretty popular for a few years, I think on AMC or A&E from 2011 to 2014 called The Killing. Viola Davis plays Amanda Waller, classic Suicide Squad character, the person who's in charge of Task Force X, who is technically what the Suicide Squad is called. She was in Doubt, never saw it. She was in Traffic, saw it, don't remember. And she was in Kate and Leopold, which I've never seen. Jay Hernandez plays Chato Santana, a.k.a. El Diablo. You might know him from the first Hostel film. He was in Friday Night Lights, and he was Tom Selleck's successor for several years on CBS as the new Magnum PI, which ran like 5 or 6 years and just, I guess, ended recently. So he was Magnum PI as well.
I knew there was a new Magnum PI. I didn't know he was Magnum PI.
That's him. I'm going to fuck this name up totally. Adewale Akinyoe Agjaba plays Waylon Jones, a.k.a. Killer Croc, the Batman villain. You might know him from a little TV show that I love very much, so much to the point that I named my dog, who's sitting right next to me right now, after his character, Mr. Echo, Lost. He was on Lost.
I didn't know that was him.
That's him.
Although I'm not the world's biggest Lost fan, so I guess it wouldn't really have occurred to me, but I certainly didn't know.
Yep, that's him. He was also in G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. He played Heavy Duty, and he was in the 2011 The Thing prequel as well. Two more I've got here for you. Ike Barinholtz plays Captain Hunter Griggs. You might know him from Mad TV, the comedy film Blockers. He was also on the Mindy Project. He is the smarmy guard at Bell. Is it Bell Rev? Yeah, Bell Rev.
Bell Rev, yeah.
Right. And then finally, with her eyebrows intact, Cara Delevingne. What's up with those eyebrows? Do you like them or dislike them? Stu, how do you feel about her eyebrows? They're pretty intense.
They're somewhat intense. They weren't, I mean, you're talking to me. I mean, you've seen my eyebrows in person. I can't fucking judge anybody. Look at these.
Yeah, but I mean, she's very pretty, but like, you're a guy, her eyebrows are a little bit more pronounced. Yeah,
there's no problem with that. It's better than the trend where girls were like shaving their eyebrows off and like penciling them back on. So I'd rather somebody have some real natural ass eyebrows than that shit.
Do you think, Mike, was her voice as Enchantress, in your opinion, her voice or something dubbed in? It seemed fake to me.
Everything, and we can get into it later, but everything about the Enchantress at the end of the movie seemed fake to me. So I don't really know. I really don't have a good answer to that. It's like she somewhere in the middle of the movie just pieced out and they took like Generation 01 AI and tried to recreate her or something. It was all a miss with that character for some reason with me.
All right. So Cara Delevingne, has been in, let's see, Carnival Row television show with, Orlando Bloom, Only Murders in the Building. She was, I guess, on one season of that. And Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, a movie that I really wanted to like and just bored the fuck out of me. Like,
was
held
that
me.
Wachowskis?
No, Luc Besson.
Oh, okay.
That movie just held me down and punched me in the head with boredom. Did not care for that at all. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the film itself. So we're gonna go through the movie, but in the beginning, because it kind of jumps around a bit, we'll just kind of talk about it in giant terms. So, Stu, in this world, correct, what giant thing has happened in this DC universe that kind of has changed everything?
Well, Superman appeared and then Superman died.
Superman came and Superman got killed, which is what happened in the Justice League and Batman versus Superman stuff. So this is all after that. Yes. So Amanda Waller is going
it's not after Justice League, but it's after Batman versus Superman.
Right. I'm sorry. Batman versus Superman, then Justice League, right? Because Justice League is where he comes back. Amanda Waller goes to her government friends and cronies and people above her and offer a solution to this kind of threat again. Mike, what is the Suicide Squad? What's the whole idea behind it?
Well, the Suicide Squad takes villains, or pretty much bad guys, as they like to refer to themselves, and puts them together in such a way that they have to work for the U.S. government and to solve problems that they don't mind losing people over because they just kind of consider them disposable.
And how do they keep them under control?
They put a chip in their brain. And as one Harley Quinn refers to it, they carry around a killer app that if someone gets a little bit frisky, they can engage said app and pretty much turn somebody's head into a brain salad.
It's very Snake Plissken of them, Mike. And that's a reference to an episode me and Mike did together.
Absolutely.
Escape from LA. It's very Snake Plissken of Amanda Waller. So she goes to the government and tells them they need to do this. And she has some people on her side, like I forgot was in this movie, David Harbour.
I didn't know it was him until this watch. I never in my life realized that was David Harbour until I saw it this time. And I was like, that's a young, no facial hair David Harbour.
Yeah. I think that's right before, it's like pre-Hopper, right? I think it's like a year before.
Yeah. I would imagine. Yeah.
So she goes and she's telling these people that she wants to do this. And she goes and she shows them her secret weapon is this character of the Enchantress. June Moon is a doctor of sorts who found the Enchantress in a cave in Costa Rica. The Enchantress is this all-powerful witch that can transport anywhere, kill anybody, do anything. And in a very impressive feat, she shows the superiors they've been looking for this like classified information from like North Korea forever. And literally in a snap of a finger, she disappears and comes right back with it. And it kind of shows the power. So they kind of sign off at this point on the Suicide Squad as being a viable thing. So she starts to put the team together. Now, on the other half of the beginning of this movie is us seeing the various members of the Suicide Squad, why they're there, and what their deal is. So we'll go through a couple of those. Stu, why don't you talk a little bit about Deadshot?
Deadshot is a Gotham-based villain in this iteration, and he dreams of killing Batman, but he's an impeccable marksman who never misses a shot, and he's an assassin who kills people for money, who eventually gets caught by Batman while out Christmas shopping with his daughter.
Ben Affleck Batman, by the way.
Ben Affleck Batman, yeah, in a cameo appearance that seems kind of beneath him.
It is. Can I ask you guys a question? Because I know both comic book guys. I know you're not a DC guy necessarily, Mike, but my opinion is people love Ben Affleck Batman. I don't really like Ben Affleck Batman. He doesn't look like Batman to me. He's almost too big in this role. Mike, how do you feel about Ben Affleck as Batman?
It doesn't bother me. I'm team, of course, Adam West, corny Batman. He's my go-to. And I'm Michael Keaton Batman. I actually think from a facial perspective, I like Affleck's face. I think he wears the mask well. But I've never been much of a fan of his acting, which I guess kind of works for dry-ass Batman. He doesn't bother me. He's fine.
Stu, do you like Ben Affleck Batman?
I liked the casting initially when everybody in the world was shitting on it and just saying like, oh God, I can't believe they got Ben Affleck to be Batman. That's going to be terrible. I thought it was pretty good casting and I liked it. It's one of those things where, Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman and Justice League all had a bajillion problems, but I don't think casting was ever really one of them. I thought the cast was pretty good. He does a good job, I think, in the role. I mean, there's been a lot of really good Batmen, though, so it's easy to say, like, well, he's no Christian Bale, he's no Michael Keaton, he's no Adam West, but, I thought I liked him in this role.
Maybe I would have liked him more if there was a Batman movie. Like,
maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, if we got a whole movie of him as Batman, because that was the problem with so many of these characters, is that they were just, like, thrown into other people. They made a movie for all the characters except for Batman. There's a Man of Steel, there's an Aquaman, there's 2 Aquaman movies. Why did we never get a solo Batman movie? That I'm not talking about the Robert Pattinson one, but, all right. So, and, part of the deal with Deadshot is he has a young daughter who is kind of like the carrot being dangled over his head, to kind of behave. Mike, Harley Quinn, the Joker, what's going on with these two?
A lot of hotness. So we'll just put it that way. Hey, let's just get it out of the way. Harley Quinn, pretty attractive. Arguably even more attractive when she's originally a psychiatrist. So of course, she's trying to push the Joker in the right direction. The Joker kind of gets in her brain. Next thing you know, she's falling for the Joker. And they go around and start criming in his limousine and pretty much get caught by none other than Batman. And so that's how she gets caught. But yeah, just and this whole thing, of course, they're just trying to speed run characters to introduce them as fast as they can. So there's not a whole lot. From what I understand, the Ayers Cut may have had a little more backstory about, from what I've read, maybe a little more Harley Quinn Joker and how it kind of, but yeah, it just seemed like, for her being a professional that deals with psychotic people, they made it seem like she fell for this guy like way too fast.
Pretty easy, yeah. Now,
was that a cameo by Common in this movie?
Yeah, Common.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
Another waste of like, why would you just throw him in here for that in this movie? Like, Common's a real actor. Do more with him than just like, you're gonna be in our movie for 8 seconds. Enjoy that.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Common. So yeah, it's like he could have been, put him in as Captain Boomerang. I don't know. Just make, I could deal with Common a lot more than they gave us.
In the regular version of the film, because I was kind of trying to read the differences online, do they show the scene where the Joker lobotomizes her with the electric prongs? Okay, I thought I had read that wasn't in the original version, where he says,
well, that was in the trailer. I remember the trailers for this movie having him like rubbing those things together and saying, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you really, really bad.
Me too. I just couldn't remember if it didn't make the actual, because it was in the version I watched. I wasn't sure if it made it to the original.
It does, unless I'm getting them confused, because I tried, like I said, I kind of rewatched, I kind of picked up some pieces of it, but it doesn't happen at the beginning. So it happens later in the film where I think they're doing flashbacks to, they fall in a vat of shit and for no obvious reason and he lobotomize her. And yeah. So, but that it does occur. It just doesn't happen in the backstory.
There is also the scene where he has her jump into the vat or he pushes her into the vat. And when they come out, it's like all the colors are running out. Okay. So far, nothing that I saw that you didn't see. That I remember.
That was literally the color draining out of the Zack Snyder verse. You saw it first.
Yes. No slow motion though. So.
Well, there is at the end of this movie. Don't worry. They get it.
Yeah. So we end up meeting, the El Diablo character who is like a Mexican gangbanger from LA who was born, I guess he's DC's version of a mutant. He was born with these flame powers. He can control fire and, he kills his wife and kids. And meanwhile, we're supposed to we're really supposed to root for this guy. Like almost feel like he's like the best of them. Cause he's like, I'm not going to be violent, yo. I'm like, you killed your fucking kids. Like even if you wanted to say like, it was like he couldn't control his powers and he went out of his mind. And the characters do actually bring that up to him at some point. So I was glad about that.
I will say this about that character, at least in this part and we can talk about a lot of things that went wrong later in the movie. But that was kind of one of those later on reveals. Even though you knew there was more to his backstory, they had you feeling somewhat sympathetic towards the character. They didn't reveal until later that he'd actually killed his wife and kids. So they get you, you're feeling good for him. He's not using his powers. He's trying to be good and he's trying to hold back. And then you find out later, oh, this guy's just a full on asshole.
Right. We meet Killer Croc, who in this version is like, they kind of make it seem more like it's a skin condition. Gone wrong. But like he lives in the sewers of Bel Rev. They feed him like half goats and stuff like that.
And he's way powered down. Like he gets taken to Bel Rev by like a couple of cops tasering him. Yeah. Like that's how they take down Killer Croc. That's not how it works in the comics. He's substantially more powerful than that in the comics.
And much
he's an
bigger.
Idiot, but he's more powerful and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. He's human sized, just, scary human sized. We briefly meet Slipknot, who is the man who can climb anything, which I just love that line because it's like, what a stupid fucking power, but hey, good for him. Who else do we meet? Oh, Captain Boomerang, who is a classic DC Suicide Squad member, Flash villain. And, he does have a Flash cameo from, what's his name? Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller, shows up in it, as he's, capturing, Captain Boomerang. Am I missing anybody else? Oh, well, we end up meeting. So Rick Flag and his team are Waller's control for the Suicide Squad. Rick Flag is also mired in an unfortunate plot device where he's in love with June Moon. And they're kind of like, it's not good. They're using him to kind of like his love for her to kind of stay with the team. Clint Eastwood's clone son, Scott Eastwood, is a member of the team. The fucking guy looks just like young Clint Eastwood. It's distracting if you pay attention to it. His character's name is GQ. Then, like, strangely, Katana
just
shows up, and like everything that they say about her is like an info dump. That's all she gets to the whole movie. It's like her sword can steal. Her sword can steal.
Back.
He's got my back. Her sword can steal your soul. And then, like, later on, he's just like, her sword has her husband's spirit in it, and she talks to it. And I'm like, they don't ever bring this character up other than to say what she's about. As said, we have to get the Suicide Squad together. We get them together, and they are told that there's going to be a mission. Now, in downtown, I don't know, what city was it? Did we know what city it was?
Midway City.
Midway City.
Yes.
The June Moon character, the Enchantress, has escaped custody, and she and her newly revived and reformed brother, terrible CGI man, Incubus, are wreaking havoc on the city.
Is that his name? That's a stupid name.
I think it's Incubus, yeah. And they decide, Mike, to build a machine that does what?
You know what? This is where I was kind of losing some interest in the movie. I've got to be honest.
20 minutes in?
I'm trying to figure this all out because they speed ran this whole Enchantress thing. It's like all of a sudden it's like she's can't do anything. Then all of a sudden it's like Waller's asleep and she gets her brother. And then the heart doesn't matter as much anymore. And like she revives Incubus. He turns her real. He's like part of a train and sucks. I don't know what the hell's going on.
A lot of weird CGI tendrils. That's what was going on.
Yeah, this is where. So yeah, as far as what they built, I don't know. I have a feeling I was like working out and like I was lost in my mind.
It was supposed to destroy all the world's armies or all the world's military equipment or something. She wanted to destroy the world's army. That's what she said.
Yeah,
I think what distracted me most about them is I felt like they were on top of a building, and it just reminded me of Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
everything felt
right.
like Ghostbusters in this.
This movie has. It's funny you say that because this movie has been compared to Ghostbusters. Because once you get the team together, they're just walking through the city until they get to the building.
Yeah.
And it's Ghostbusters-ish or adjacent at the very least. So along with Incubus and Enchantress, their powers, they've also created these armies of like guys with like fucking, those candy burnt peanuts. That's what their heads look like. Those spiky things. So they're out there. So Amanda Waller says, let's get the Suicide Squad to go and figure all this out. But it's a ruse, right? I've seen this movie several times. I don't understand what happens in this whole part. Why does she need them to come get her? Stu, do you understand? Because like she doesn't tell them it's to go save her, but
she says they're going to save a scientist or something.
Right. But like, why is she in? I don't get. I'm so confused. Why is she in the line of fire?
I assume she can't get out of the city because everything that's going on. So she needs her little minions to come save her.
Okay.
She's just stuck inside the city. I don't know. I don't know why she was there. Why is she in Midway City as opposed to Washington, D.C. or Louisiana or any of the other places it would make sense for her character to be? She just happens to be in the place where this is going on. It doesn't make loads of sense. It doesn't make loads of sense.
The plot gets real rocky real quick in this movie. The plot gets real rocky real quick. And I think I've seen this movie this is at least my third viewing. Saw it in the movies. I saw it at least once on video. And on this one, doing it for the podcast, you kind of get a little bit more, I guess, analytical. And I really was having a hard time figuring out so many things in this movie. Another thing that I had a really hard time with in this movie is a major plot point of this movie is the Suicide Squad, who are all these like villainous and or bad characters to an extent. Even if they're like Deadshot, where yes, he's a murderer, but he's doing it for money and he's trying to take care of his daughter. He's not a good guy, but like, he's not necessarily like laugh out loud evil villain. But like, we've got all these characters together and we're supposed to believe at some point that they come together as a family. And I had a real hard time with all of like how by the end they're like, El
Diablo says, I'm not going to lose another family. And I'm like, bitch, you barely like these people.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, did you feel the camaraderie turning into true team building in this movie or did it fall flat?
I think everybody just got the hots for Harley Quinn. I mean, and let's be honest, Harley Quinn is crazy enough that I can make a step in her head into thinking these people are family because she's Cocoa Crisp anyway. So the rest of them, I'm guessing, like Deadshot, I could see him being like, you know what, I'm into this. And, Killer Croc in a way. I mean, like, I don't even know, like, he didn't really talk to anybody. He's like, even during one part of the movie, he like runs off with the randos to go like steal shit. And it's like, no, I don't feel any camaraderie with these people at all. Like I said, unless it's a Harley Quinn thing, and I could, hey, you know what, in their defense, I could get that. Otherwise, no, I don't get it.
There's a subplot in this movie, Stu, about the Joker trying to rescue Harley from the Suicide Squad. Now, here's one of the things about the Ayer cut that we know is that there was supposed to be a shit ton more Joker. Okay. I was at Rhode Island Comic-Con the year after this movie came out. And I was standing with, I think, Lloyd and my buddy Lou. And I don't even know if they heard it or not, but we were standing in the celebrity area where they were signing. And Rhode Island Comic-Con is much looser where you can get closer to the celebrities. And it's not like a strict line formation. And I heard a fan talking to, the actor's name is Jim Perrick. He is the guy who plays the Joker's right-hand man, the tall white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard him say that Jared was supposed to be in so much more of this movie. What you saw was not what like was intended. And this is early. This is like kind of before it became a thing and known, right? But Stu, do you think that if they couldn't have used the Joker more, they shouldn't have used him at all? Because it seems so threadbare through this fucking movie.
they should not have used this iteration of the Joker at all. And it's not whether or not they could have used more of him or not. They should not have used this iteration of the Joker at all. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's not entertaining. He's not any iteration of the Joker that any of us have ever seen. He's not any iteration of the Joker that any of us have ever wanted to see. I don't know if the Ayer cut is supposed to have, so much more Joker. I don't know how anybody has watched this movie and watched the last scene in the Snyder cut Justice League and thinks to themselves, you know what I need in my life? More of that guy.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He's poorly written. He's just bad. I don't know what Leto's doing. I don't know what Ayer is telling him to do. Everything about that character is baffling choices. Like, why does he have damaged written on his head? Why does he wear a grill? This isn't the Joker. This isn't the Joker at all. This is just a weird iteration. It's just like somebody just came up with, let's just make a stereotypical gangster, except make him really, really eccentric. And that's the Joker. Like, no, that's not who the Joker is. It's abominably bad. And I will never want to see the Ayer cut just because I don't want to see more of this character. I can't imagine any reality where that improves this movie.
This goes back to some, kind of like we were talking about with, Nothing But Trouble. It's like, some of the stuff in this movie doesn't matter. And honestly, if you take everything, keep the Joker in at the beginning where he and Harley Quinn do their little thing, because that makes a little bit of sense. Take the rest of the Joker out of the movie. You could squeeze this down another 10 or 15 minutes and you don't lose that I can think of anything else that happens in the movie. The only thing you lose is Harley Quinn escaping and Deadshot not killing her.
Right. Yeah. Because
that's it. And you could do that anyway.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because 5 minutes after that scene, they just partner right back up with Harley anyway. So don't do that scene.
I felt like that there was like a chance in this movie for them to, like, when Harley escapes with the Joker, which is what happens. They pick up Amanda Waller. They kind of all say this is bullshit. They tell Rick Flag to go fuck yourself. And Rick Flag is desperate to stop this because he's in love with June Moon. But like they kind of break off and say, we're not doing this. And Deadshot knows that Joker's coming for Harley. He kidnaps a scientist that is able to remotely shut off the bomb in her neck. And he rescues her in this big like helicopter scene. And then as she's flying away, she's doing her little stripper act on the helicopter ladder. And Deadshot is told to take a shot at her, and he chooses not to. Waller knows it's bullshit because the guy can't miss, right? That's a big thing earlier in the movie. I actually do like the scene where they let him go to the table of guns and he realizes it's loaded and he's like, oh no, you did not. I like that. I like how he's like, oh my God, these people gave me loaded weapons. But yeah, I feel like it would have been more powerful if the Joker like threw her out of the helicopter or something, like not like she survived the crash or whatever had happened, but like if he had abandoned her and then she goes on and becomes like solid with this Suicide Squad. Instead, it's just like she just breaks away from him, and I don't mind going forward. And at the end of the movie, he breaks her out of Bel Rev again. It feels like there's nothing earned by that little escape scene at all. And yeah, I agree. I don't get why the fucking Joker's in this. And I have never in my life ever laid on my living room floor surrounded by just knives and circles all around me. But it's a pretty cool look. I might try it sometime. I don't have that many knives, so
it's
pretty stylized.
One question. Why do the people in this movie keep getting into helicopters?
Yeah, they keep going
choppers. Because they come in a chopper. First off, Flag knows what they're getting into. They get shot down. Suicide Squad should be dead out to shoot. But somehow or another, they all survive. Then it's like, oh, the Joker shows up. He goes down, and then Waller ends up in a chopper. She goes down. It's like, stop taking fucking choppers places, people. This is a bad form of transportation in this movie.
Yeah, you're right. I never even thought about that. You're absolutely right.
Helicopters have a 0% success rate in this movie.
Yeah, 0.
Yeah, natural 20s aren't helping here, man. There's just a straight up shoot them down.
This is Helicopters 0, movie 3. Stu, I got to ask you a question. I know, you're a comic reader, and I know you've read at least probably some of the Suicide Squad stuff through the course of time.
Sure.
Maybe something, right? Yes, no, am I wrong?
I read a little bit of the New 52, but that's it.
Okay.
It came out during a blind spot period of DC in my childhood. And then when I did get into DC, if there was a Suicide Squad book, I don't remember it coming out.
Okay.
So.
Well, what John said, there are about 300 of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of volumes. I've read quite a bit of it, not all of it, but quite a bit of it. And I got to say, one of the things that bothered me, particularly for the time this was made, and I know movies are going to be different than the comics, but the scene where Amanda Waller kills all the workers in the room she's in, like she's not a good person necessarily, but she's very much like a get the job thing. But I just felt like that was kind of out of character. But if you guys have never read before, I don't know if you know that or not.
From what I've read of Waller, it doesn't feel like her character to just straight up murder people by herself.
Right.
Like,
she's duplicitous and she's a kind of a piece of shit. But like to shoot all these, they saw too much. So like, I don't know. I didn't really feel that too much. All right. So they finally, let's get to it. We have a scene where they get to, they break away from Flag and they get to this bar and we have this kind of like bonding scene. Did this scene where we have like a little bit of kind of like downtime and time for these characters to kind of talk to each other in like maybe a more natural fashion, did this work for you at all, Mike? Or were you just like, let's just get on to the end. Let's fight this fucking witch and let's go home.
I think at this point we're an hour and 10 or 15 minutes into this movie and nothing's really happened that I understand. It's just like, hey, they're together and they're fighting now. So it's like, so I was happy to see kind of a break. Take a little bit. Let's learn a little more about the characters. This is where El Diablo comes clean. So at least he makes a little more sense now. I kind of liked the slowdown here, but as far as it felt a little too late. Nobody else was really, everything else felt really forced and jagged. Whereas the Suicide Squad, it feels like the characters are really meshing during the film. And this, it felt like, let's not mesh. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're buddies and let's go fight the big bad. So yeah, it felt very forced at this point.
Yeah. So they get back together with Flag. Flag kind of convinces Deadshot, who's kind of the de facto leader of this group, like, you got to help me out. I got to get her back. I'm in love with her. Deadshot seems to have a little bit of sentimentality. Again, this is all part of these characters like falling in love with each other over a walk. They're all the worst people on earth. And then like over a walk, they're just like, you're like, they're like stepbrothers. They're building bunk beds in their room. They're having so many activities.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we just become best friends? Yup. So they finally get to the Ghostbusters building top. They determine that the key to this is that they have to get Incubus, away from Enchantress. So, they're trying to figure out how to do it. And Enchantress starts to fuck around with their minds because that's her power. An example, Stu, what does she make Harley Quinn see?
She makes Harley Quinn see living a quote unquote normal life with the Joker, which is just Jared Leto without face paint and green hair. And they have 2 kids. And I will say one thing I actually kind of liked is at some point earlier in the movie, Harley's like, normal's just a setting on a dishwasher. And in her image, whenever she sees herself living with the Joker, she sees herself hitting the normal button on a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a neat little callback to at least a line of dialogue from earlier. You got to give this movie a little bit of credit whenever it does something. So
yeah, we've
been trashing it, so I'll give it credit for that. I thought that was a cute callback.
She's got the curlers in her hair, and yeah. I guess I read that even though you never see Jared Leto's face fully on in that scene, it's kind of all from the side. He had to wear he wore like veneers and like they gave him like fake eyebrows, like. He said that he looked like a game show host because that's what they were looking for, but they never show him fully on. So it's kind of interesting that they chose to do that. So we kind of get like just like the standard final scene in a superhero movie, right? Like they fight
fighting that laser going into the sky, man.
Yeah, the giant laser going into the sky, and Chato Santana El Diablo manages to take Incubus apart, but first he goes fucking like his full final form, Mike, right? Did you like that? Did you like when he became like a fire goat or whatever the fuck he was?
It made sense why he was there all of a sudden. So no, I kind of dug it. I dug that he was so overpowered compared to what you expected. And it was like, okay, he can just, burn people up. Big deal. This is not going to work against the Enchantress or the Incubus, but come to find out now he's got a little something up his sleeve. And yeah, I quite enjoyed of everything in the movie. This felt good to me. I didn't like the way the way he pieced out at the end, but like you said, I mean, at this point they're all brothers, so it's like, yeah, go ahead and kill me because I'm doing this for the world, or doing it for myself, or doing it. I don't know why I did it, but yeah, and I liked it. I quite liked this fight scene.
Yep.
Yeah. If there had been a little bit of, he has like I don't want to say a suicidal edge to him, but he has like a careless edge to himself where he doesn't care if he lives or dies as he uses his powers, or he doesn't care if he lives or dies while he's fighting all these minions spread out across Midway City. That would have paid off more at the end. But when you get to the end and this guy's just like, just kill me too. I'm just like, you're an asshole. That doesn't make sense.
Well, the only thing I can figure is that his family, it's, after he had the meeting with the, it kind of like triggered something in his head, and he's like, okay, I'm willing, all I've been doing is nothing, and it's really not done anything. I've never given back for the problems I caused, and doing nothing is really not helping anybody. So this is my way of giving and sacrificing. That's the only way I connected. But again, everybody was speed running so much everything here. It's just like your head's spinning to try to keep up with the emotions that are going on in this movie in a character's head that aren't well-developed characters for the most part in the first place.
Stu, lead us into the Enchantress's doom and kind of how the Suicide Squad win the day here.
So yeah, we get a big, boring comic book fight scene at the end where they're fighting the Enchantress, and the Enchantress is teleporting around and they can't really do anything to her. And then the Enchantress is finally like, look, all right, you guys can't beat me, but you've earned my respect, so be my slaves and we'll call it cool. And Harley's like, well, maybe we should. So Harley walks up to her and says like, yeah, I'm cool with, not dying. That's a good plan for me. And the Enchantress gets her to get down on her knees, and she grabs Katana's sword and cuts the heart back out, because at some point in the movie, she had gotten her heart back from Amanda Waller. So she had her fully intact heart back in her body. And then Harley cuts the heart out of her chest, and that weakens the Enchantress back down to the point where Rick Flag can squeeze the heart to death and she turns back into June Moon.
I did like the effect of her like breaking out of the Enchantress's like almost like she was like mud. Like that's how June Moon came out of the Enchantress's body. That was pretty cool. There's a scene early in the movie.
Almost like she was Sigourney Weaver breaking out of a dog's body in Ghostbusters.
Look, you're right. You're right. There's another effect early in the movie I liked a lot. The first time June Moon turns to the Enchantress, where the hand comes in and turns over. I like that as well. So then we win the day. Everybody gets 10 years off of their 150 life sentences, which is funny.
Yeah, what the hell law did Boomerang break that he got 3 consecutive life sentences for stealing some diamonds?
Stealing diamonds, yeah, I thought that was really funny. He was like, taking off 10 years off of 3 consecutive life sentences. I'm like, yeah, well, he stole diamonds. What else did he do? Maybe for killing Slipknot earlier. Maybe everybody loves Slipknot so much. Like, he was our favorite. He was our favorite. I guess in the original air cut, or in the script, there was a line of dialogue about Slipknot being like a fucking child molester. And because they wanted it to be more like you're supposed to like be like good that he did that. And actually, it is funny. I do remember when we did the episode years ago of the first 6 issues of the Suicide Squad, Captain Boomerang does that to somebody in the first mission. He kind of like makes them attempt to escape to see if the bomb is real. So I thought that was a good little tie-in. There's not a whole lot of tie-ins that I remembered from like the actual series.
Speaking of child molestation.
Oh, no.
Seriously. Have you guys watched any of Creature Commandos?
Absolutely.
I watched the first episode and I liked it quite a bit.
Mike, did you see the Weasel episode yet?
Yes, I've seen them all. Creature Commandos, okay. I'm going to say this, and you can fight me for this, Stu, because I know you're the huge Jubilee haunt. I like Creature Commandos better than X-Men 97. I think it's amazing.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard about the Weasel episode, and it makes me want to watch it.
Everything, the GI robot episode is fabulous. Every one of them, but yeah. First episode's great. Second episode, I can't remember. It's good, but from 3 on, it's really picking up, and it's good stuff, man. James Gunn knows what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode, and I really enjoyed the fact that it was like 23 minutes long. I was like, thank you. Thank you. So I will be catching up on that. And also it's great, Viola Davis does the voice, when you're able to get these people, and David Harbour is Frankenstein, like he's using people, Even
Yeah,
if
they have
they're
like Frank Grillo and shit, don't they?
Frank Grillo is Rick Flag Sr. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting. And GI or not GI Robot, Phosphorus Man is everybody's favorite Alan Tudyk. So it definitely got some good cast in there. So we see afterwards they're all back in Bel Rev. Deadshot now is best friends with Rick Flag, and they're gonna have a sitcom together. Deadshot is getting visitation with his daughter. I found it so like nonchalantly creepy that his daughter is like talking about the people he kills. Like, I didn't like that at all. Like, well, Daddy, if you had to shoot a guy in the head and like he's using it to teach her math, I'm like, this is fucked. Like, this isn't even funny to me. This is just kind of like, and I'm not like a prude, but I was like, this is kind of tasteless. And I hate saying that because I feel like I'm like 90 years old, but I was like, that doesn't work for me. But we see that.
It doesn't work for what we see from his daughter. We see from his daughter that she sees him as a good man and she wants him to be a better person. So why would she be inspiring that side of him at the end of this movie? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, she literally saves him from maybe not killing, but shooting Batman earlier on by getting in the way. Like, she's so strong against him not doing this. And yeah. So we see Harley Quinn has gotten her espresso machine, and the Joker and his minions come in, and that's how the movie ends, to break her out.
And don't forget, Killer Croc got his BET, which apparently
Killer Croc is watching BET. I love that.
Come on, man, that's just a little too much.
There's a line in the movie that I actually do like it with Killer Croc. It's the line when they're all drinking and someone makes a reference to him being ugly, and he's like, "I'm beautiful." I like that. I like that because he's like, fuck it, I am what I am. I eat goats. And I watch BET. But yeah, so the movie ends, and we do get a mid-credit scene where Amanda Waller and Bruce Wayne are having a discussion, and Bruce Wayne kind of threatens her about the Suicide Squad, and she then basically says, don't do the shit you do at night anymore. And he's like, oh. And then he's like, well, me and my friends are going to put an end to this. So I think we're looking at some possible DCEU Suicide Squad versus Justice League that never happened, but whatever. We're all better off that didn't happen, or at least those movies stopped, because what a confusing line of shit for the most part. All right, let's talk about the box office for this film.
Hey, sing it, baby, I got your money. Sing it, girls. I said, hey, just sing it right now. I got your money.
Week ending August 7th of 2016. By the way, this movie cost $175 million to make. Worldwide gross, Mike, can you guess? If you don't know, can you guess?
I don't know worldwide gross. It's not a Marvel movie. It's not a popular DC franchise. I'm going to guess 85 million. I don't know.
Worldwide gross, probably like, I'd say 400.
749.
What?
Ooh.
This was a huge hit. This movie was
really
huge.
what I fucking know.
Yeah, huge fucking
It won
hit.
an Oscar, too.
Yeah.
Fucking all kinds of shit wins Oscars, Stu. It's not interesting.
89th Oscars in 2017. It won Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
And that's just bullshit. Did you guys see how dark the Raisinette guys that were fucking all around? It's like, okay, let's just put guys in a raisin outfit, and there's a billion of them. And what really bothered me, just to go back to those guys, did you notice that there were a billion guys on Rick Flag's team that were shooting them, and none of them bothered them? But as soon as they got hit with a weapon by the Suicide Squad, these guys went down.
Yeah.
The only weapons that affect is one gun from the Suicide Squad was worth an entire fleet of Rick Flag's machine gun guys. It was just dumb. Yeah, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, as far as makeup and stuff, I'm like, did you not see the Joker I saw? Did you not see it's I don't understand that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. So the top 5 movies of that week, weekend were, number 5, Star Trek Beyond, the last of the, it wasn't J.J. Abrams at that point, but the last of the Chris Pine Star Trek movies, had been out for 3 weeks. It made $10 million. Number 4.
I knew that existed. I thought the last one was the remake of Wrath of Khan.
No, Beyond was a few years later. It was during the 50th. This was the 50th year anniversary of Star Trek. It was not hyped up. And it actually is a very fun movie, but it's so fucking forgettable. I enjoy this one, but it is so simple and so forgettable. Idris Elba's the bad guy. Yeah. Checking off his list of I have to be in every franchise ever. He's the bad guy in it. Number 4, The Secret Life of Pets, had been out for 5 weeks, $11.5 million. Number 3, Bad Moms, 2 weeks, $14 million. Number 2, Jason Bourne, the last of the Jason Bourne films with Matt Damon. 2 weeks, $22.4 million. And for the weekend, Suicide Squad opened that weekend. It made $133.7 million that weekend alone. So
Jesus.
That movie balled. All right, let's do it. Let's rate this fucking thing.
Color me stupid. I had no idea.
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight.
All right, 0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the absolute best thing ever, a banger, as you may call it. 1/4 scale optional. Let's go over to Mr. Multiverse Mike. Mike, what do you give 2016's Suicide Squad?
I feel like a 2's not enough, but I feel like a 2.5 is too much. I'm going to go, since you've given me the luxury of using quarters, I'm going to go with 2.25 because there was stuff that I liked about it, but there were so many glaringly bad things that I couldn't get over. So I think it's better than a 2, worse than a 2.5. Let's go 2.25.
2.25 for Mike. All right. The last time I ranked this on Letterboxd, which by the way, Letterboxd does not use quarter scale, which drives me nuts because I use quarter scale. And I honestly think quarter scale is really important for movies because that, like Mike just said, that half, and that's a big swing. So a lot of times I'll give something a 3 that might be a 2.75 because I want to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and not go to a 2.5, even though 2.5 is average. The last time I rated this, I gave it a 3. It's not a 3. It's not even a 2.75. I'm going to go exactly with Mike. It's a 2.25. It doesn't do anything. Yes, there are some moments in it. Yes, it introduced us to fucking Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Thank you. Right? Thank you for, on so many levels. She's good as a character. She's gorgeous. So many levels. It also introduced us to Jared Leto's Joker. Nobody wanted that. Nobody needed that. And it does nothing. It's got terrible CGI. Holy fuck, Incubus and Enchantress. It's very bad. It's not good. I really disliked how close these characters seem to be for each other. The line that Stu mentioned earlier, where Diablo's like, I already lost one family. I'm not going to lose another. What? You guys met this morning. You were in a tank filled with water because nobody knows each other. It did not feel real. I've seen other movies, Guardians of the Galaxy. They didn't know each other by the end of that movie. When the We Are Groot part, I cry because I believe that these people and animals and fucking aliens care about each other. I don't believe that in this movie at all. There are cool moments. Some of the Joker stuff, I kind of like the weird Joker gang thing where it's like guys in furry costumes and shit with like giant heads. There's aspects of it. There's comic book movie aspects I like. 2.25 at best. Stu, what do you give it?
I can't even go 2.25. The first time I watched this, I also gave it a 3, and I have no idea how. I have no idea what part of me thought this movie was good, because that's what I grade out as a 3 out of 5 is good. No, this movie's a 2 out of 5. Here's what this movie does well. The soundtrack is banger. Just banger after banger, especially at the beginning of the movie when you're getting all the introductions to the characters and they all play to a different song and they're well-picked songs. I mean, for the first 15 minutes, this movie is soundtrack the movie. That's all it is just song after song that plays over scenes, and the songs overpower the scenes, but at least the songs are good. The Harley Quinn stuff ended up being good. People liked Birds of Prey. I really did not. It has a really high Rotten Tomatoes score, and people seem to... I besmirched it on Twitter once, and I got my ass handed to me in the comments. But I love what they did with her in The Suicide Squad, and that's maybe the best thing this movie did, was it gave us barely the skeleton of what would end up becoming James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which is a fantastic movie.
It's my favorite DC movie of that whole...
Yeah.
Whatever that is, anything that DC did at that time, it's my favorite.
Yeah. But I mean, the bad stuff is, as opposed to you, I think all the Joker stuff is bad. I don't understand why he has people in furry costumes as his minions. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems like they just tried so hard to make weird, eccentric stuff for the Joker, but instead of feeling like it fit his characters, it just felt like a director making weird choices for the sake of making weird choices and thinking that's all it takes to write the Joker. Just everything with the Joker is so bad. It's edited very poorly, and to the release the Ayer cut credit, maybe that's because this movie is cut brutally, but there are editing sequences in this movie where scenes that go into other scenes and you're just like, what just happened? That was a weird cut. That was a weird transition. Those two scenes don't seem to juxtapose right. So, I mean, to the credit of the people who want them to release a cut, maybe this movie was just cut together poorly, but it's bad. It's bad, guys. It's below average at 2 out of 5.
And two things I want to give you credit there on, Stu, that I agree with. Number one, when we see a Deadshot, we get a remake of Orange Juice Jones's The Rain, which anytime that somebody plays an Orange Juice Jones song in a movie, I should like it. The fact that this only gets 2.25 probably means it's a 1.5 without that. Secondly, back to the Joker, is that, it's just, he's the scene, and you mentioned it earlier, we kind of touched on it. The scene with Common was probably the worst scene in the movie because it's like, oh, here's Harley. Oh, Harley hit on Common. Oh, now I'm mad about it. Joker's big man. He kills. It's like, where's this going? What's this about? This is just dumb.
I think it's supposed to be the unpredictability of the Joker, right? Like, because that's the character, right? You're supposed to be afraid. You don't even want to be in his presence because you don't know what he's going to do. But yes, I don't think it's a well done scene. I wonder if there's like 3 more scenes with the Common character where in the air cut, like he catches him looking at her ass or something. So it makes more sense that he's like kind of growing into this, like, you're fucking around, you're looking at my woman or something.
It just feels like a ham-fisted way to do that. I mean, I think that's everything about the Joker here. Everything feels like they want to give you the impression, but they also want to have their cake and eat it too, because they want you to know how crazy he is, but they don't want to put in the work to make him really seem crazy. They just want him to seem volatile, which is a little bit different than crazy. I don't know. There's something, especially that Common scene. It felt very ham-fisted. I thought it was a waste of time. And back to Stu's point, I thought everything about the Joker, 98% of it was a waste of time. So
yeah, I mean, compare all of the mannerisms and facial tics and everything that went into Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker to what they do here. And it's just like I said, I don't know if it's decisions Leto made or Ayer made, but somebody just made terrible, terrible choices when it came to this Joker. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
I was going to say, just consider what Leto and Ayer do with most of their career. It could be both of them. Pretty easy.
All right, so that's Suicide Squad. We've done both of the Suicide Squad films, so I think that this is something we should do. And with the 3 of us here, because I love having you guys on together, and we just mentioned it. Why don't we wait till the Creature Commandos is all done and do a Patreon episode for that?
I am here for it.
We'll go through all the episodes, kind of just do a rundown of the story, talk about the cast, talk about what we liked. All right, so if you want to hear that, which will be probably out in the next couple months or so, why don't you go over to Patreon/The Pint, join up $2.50 or $4. Important information for you $4 tier members. For the last couple months, we had stopped doing the live streams, and a lot of you stuck with it, and I appreciate that. A lot of people were like, I want to continue to support at a higher level, and we have Larry and I and Stu have decided to get the band back together. That's right. We loved talking about Friday the 13th. Started almost 5 years ago during the pandemic. We did all those movies crazily. We did all those movies. We did all the Nightmare on Elm Street films. And there's been a series of movies that I've been wanting to talk about, and it would take too long to do them as podcasts. So I talked to Larry, and I knew Larry would be down for it, and Stu's down for it. It's not horror centric, but we will be starting in the next month or so to go through the Rocky films on the $4 tier. And we are going to go all the way through the Creed films. So we're doing them all.
I was going to say, does that include the Creeds? Okay.
It does. And I've only seen Creed 1, so I'm excited to go for it. And I liked it. I just never got past it. So
yeah, I've seen all 3 of the Creeds.
We will do those. Mike, if you want to join on one of those, I'll throw you out there. Maybe I'll save you for Clubber Lang, Rocky 3.
Yeah. You know what? Rocky 3 or 4. In a way, Rocky 4, because I can, like I said, and I've mentioned this previously, I love to hate watch things. Whereas like Rocky 3, I like too much. I think Rocky 4, I would just hate watch and I'd enjoy the shit out of it. So either one of them work though.
Rocky 4 is the greatest American movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, brother. It's what Hulk Hogan is to wrestling.
All right. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, we changed that over a little bit. Confusing, I know, but it is now at the Pint Pop. So if you lost us when we left Instagram for a little bit and came back, it's the only place we are on social media right now. At the Pint Pop. You know where to find Stu and Stew World Order, and you can find Mike right here. He'll be joining us for a bunch of stuff. So until next week, See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!